Measurement of time. Now we will discuss about time. What is time? Time is the moment or duration in which things occurs, and time is very important in our daily activities also. And time is measured by using the clocks and watches. But can you imagine, in the olden time, the people do not have watches and clocks. They calculate the time with the help of the natural clocks such as day and night, that means the rising and the setting of the sun, and the from one full moon to the next moon they calculate it as month. So month and the day and night was calculated with the help of natural clocks, that is the rising and setting of sun, and from one full moon to the next moon. So come to the measurement of time. We carries out all activities of daily life based on a schedule in which each event takes place at a particular instant and for a specific duration. Hence, this knowledge of time is very important and essential for us. But time can be defined as a measurable quantity during which an event occurs. Underline this line. Time can be defined as a measurable quantity during which an event occurs. Initially, measurement of time was done with the change of season. So, in the ancient time, the measurement of time was done with the change of season, day and night, and observing stars, and so on. And so, here are some of the instruments that was used to measure time from the ancient time. What are these instruments? Number one, sundial. Number one is sundial. Sundial. Then we have the sand clock and the water clock. So sundial, sand clock and water clocks were the instrument which was used in ancient time. So come to the first, the sundial. So one of the most ancient instrument for measuring time is called sundial. So this is the sundial. So sundial is a dial which is used, which helps, which is was calculated according to the shadow of the sun. As you know, the sun rises from the east and sets in the west. So according to the movement of the sun, the shadow was created on this clock. Here a triangular blade was used to which due to which the shadow of the blade was just occurred in this clock, and according to the shadow of the sun, the people at that time calculate the time. So sundial is a, is used to measure based on the position and the length of the shadow cast by the sun. Underline this line. As time passes, the shadow of the blade on the dial changes with the changing position of the sun. And remember, sun rises from the east and in the west it sets down. And on the basis of this, the position of the shadow is also changed due to the position of the changing of the sun. So sundial is based on that property. Now next is the water clock. So water clock sounds like a complex instrument, but it is not so. Very simple. The water clock was a method used to measure the time in ancient Egypt. So in Egypt, this water clock was used. In a water clock, the two vessels were kept at different levels. Two vessels. How these are kept? See here. The two vessels were kept, and the water supplied from this pipe, and slowly water goes into the next vessels. And some wheels were just kept that it helps to move the water supply, that it should go towards the lower part of the water. So water clock was a method used to measure time in the ancient. So in water clock, two vessels are kept at different levels, one above the other, and the rate of dripping of water from the upper level to the lower level vessel is observed to measure the time intervals. The sloping side of the upper vessels makes the rate of the dripping of water constant from the bottom hole of the conical vessels. The marking on the upper vessels indicate the passage of time. So generally the water clock, the sand clock and the sundial, they just tells the hour, not the minute and the second. So water clock, the clock in which the vessels were kept in such a way that water from one vessel flows to the another vessels. And when the upper vessels, the water in the upper vessels becomes empty, then they calculate it as 1 hour. And again they pour some water and water goes inside, then it goes up and down. In this way, the time was calculated. Now sand clock. Sand clock is also known as the hourglass, hourglass, which was another device for measuring time in the ancient era. It is based on the flow of sand. So in the sand clock, two vessels were kept in such a way, made of glass, that the sand was used from one glass bulb to the another glass bulb. The time taken for the sand to flow from one bulb to the another bulb indicates a fixed interval, that is 1 hour. So at within 1 hour, the sand become empty from the one vessels to the another bulb vessels. So there was one disadvantages of this sundial and the water clock and the sun clock, as they could not measure the small intervals of time, such as minutes and seconds. So later in the 17th century, with the development of pendulum clocks, it became possible to know the minutes and the seconds. So with the passage of time, watches and clocks were developed that help us to measure time accurately down to even a microsecond and a nanosecond. So microsecond and the nanosecond are the lowest values of the second. So in the next class we will discuss about the pendulum. So sand clock, water clock and the sundial were the ancient clocks that were used in ancient time by the people. That's all.